The rain came down in sheets that night, cold and relentless. The kind of storm that made even the bravest drivers pull off the road. Firefighter Liam Carter tightened his grip on the steering wheel as his wipers fought to keep up. It was nearly midnight, and after a 24-hour shift at the station, all he wanted was a hot shower and a few hours of sleep. But fate had other plans. Through the blur of rain, his headlights caught a faint shape on the shoulder of the road, a small sedan with its hazard lights blinking. Beside it stood a woman holding a young boy under an umbrella that wasn't doing much good. The kid clung to her, shivering. Without thinking twice, Liam slowed down and pulled over. He'd seen too many roadside accidents to drive past someone stranded in a storm. He got out, rain instantly soaking through his jacket. "Hey there," he called out over the thunder. "You need help?" The woman turned. She looked to be in her early 30s, her brown hair plastered to her face, eyes wide with worry. I think the engine's dead," she said. "We've been waiting almost an hour for a tow truck." Liam looked at the boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, teeth chattering. "You can't stay out here in this. You'll both freeze." "It's okay," she said, though her voice trembled. "We're fine." He heard the lie in her tone. "I live just a few miles down the road," Liam said gently. "You can wait there till the storm passes. I'll make some cocoa for the little guy." She hesitated, torn between fear and exhaustion. Finally, she nodded. "All right. Thank you. I don't know what else to do." Liam smiled. "Name's Liam Carter." "Emily," she said quietly. "Emily Hayes. And this is Noah." 20 minutes later, Liam unlocked the door of his modest ranch house and waved them inside. His 12-year-old daughter, Sophie, was asleep at her grandmother's for the weekend, so the house was unusually quiet. "Sit down, get warm," he said, ushering them toward the living room. "I'll grab you some towels." When he came back, Emily was still standing near the doorway, like she didn't belong. The boy was half asleep on her shoulder. "You're safe here," Liam said softly. "Really?" She managed a tired smile and took the towels. While she changed into some dry clothes he offered, Liam made cocoa and warmed up a can of soup. When she came back, wearing one of his old flannel shirts and a pair of sweatpants, she looked less like a stranger and more like someone who had been through too much. "You don't have to tell me anything," Liam said as he handed her the mug. "But if you need to talk, I'm a pretty good listener." For a moment, Emily said nothing. Then, slowly, the story began to spill out. She'd been a teacher at Maple Ridge Elementary for almost 8 years. A few months ago, an electrical fire had torn through her apartment complex. Everyone made it out, but most of her things hadn't. Her insurance covered part of the loss, but not enough. The school she worked for was going through budget cuts, and she'd been laid off not long after. "I thought I could manage for a while," she said quietly. "I took substitute work, tried to stretch every dollar. But it got harder. 2 weeks ago, I had to move out of the motel we were staying in. A friend offered to let us crash for a few days, but that ended last night. I didn't have anywhere to go tonight. Then the car broke down. Liam's chest tightened. He saw the exhaustion behind her words, the same kind he'd once seen in the mirror after his wife, Anna, passed away 5 years ago. "You're welcome to stay here tonight," he said gently. "The guest room's small, but it's warm. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "You don't even know me." Liam shrugged. "I know what it's like to need a little kindness." She tried to speak, but couldn't. Instead, she just nodded, clutching the mug like it was the only solid thing in her world. By morning, the storm had cleared. The sun broke through, glinting off puddles in the yard. Liam made pancakes, badly, and watched Noah laugh for the first time since arriving. "I haven't heard him laugh like that in weeks," Emily said, smiling softly. "Guess he likes burnt pancakes," Liam joked. They both laughed, the sound awkward but genuine. When Emily tried to thank him again and insist on leaving, Liam stopped her. "Stay a few days," he said. "Get the car looked at, figure things out." There's no rush, she wanted to argue, but finally agreed. Just a few days, she promised herself. A few days turned into a few weeks. Emily helped around the house, cooked dinner, even organized the cluttered kitchen. Noah and Sophie became fast friends once she returned home from her grandmother's. They built forts in the living room and played board games until bedtime. For the first time in years, the house felt alive again. Liam found himself looking forward to coming home after long shifts. There'd be music playing, something cooking, and laughter drifting down the hallway. He hadn't realized how much silence had filled his life until it was gone. One evening, after the kids went to bed, he found Emily sitting on the porch with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, just thinking about how everything fell apart and somehow landed here. Liam sat beside her. "Sometimes life breaks us just enough to make room for something better." She smiled faintly. "You really believe that?" "I didn't. Not until now something passed between them, unspoken but strong. Neither was ready to name it yet, but it was there." By the end of the month, Emily got a call from a nearby middle school offering her a full-time teaching position. The joy on her face made Liam's chest ache in a good way. "I start Monday," she said, beaming. "I can finally get us back on our feet." "That's great," he said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He was proud of her, but part of him dreaded the thought of them leaving. When she noticed his expression, she hesitated. "Unless you'd rather we stay a little longer, I could pay rent." Liam laughed softly. "You don't have to pay me. But I wouldn't mind if you stayed." "Then we'll stay," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The next few months passed in a comfortable rhythm. Mornings were a blur of cereal bowls and missing shoes. Evenings meant homework at the kitchen table, dinner, and bedtime stories. Liam hadn't realized how much he missed being part of something, of a family. Emily brought life wherever she went. She planted flowers by the porch, organized a weekly movie night, and coaxed Liam out of his quiet shell. He found himself laughing again, really laughing, something he hadn't done since Anna died. Of course, there were hard days too. When Emily caught a bad flu and had to stay in bed for a week, Liam's old panic came rushing back, the fear of losing someone he loved. He hovered, checking on her constantly, until she finally said, smiling weakly, "I'm not going anywhere, Liam." "You can relax," he laughed then, realizing how deep his feelings for her had grown. One spring evening, the kids were out in the yard chasing fireflies, while Liam and Emily cleaned up after dinner. "Do you ever think about what this is?" Emily asked suddenly. "What do you mean?" "Us, the kids, this house. It feels like more than temporary." Liam met her eyes. "It feels like home," he said simply. She looked down, blinking fast. "I didn't think I'd ever find that again." He reached for her hand. "Me neither." That night, sitting together on the porch under a soft Colorado sky, he kissed her for the first time. It was gentle, full of promise. They decided to take things slow, for themselves and for the kids. But it didn't take long for Sophie and Noah to catch on. "So," Sophie said one morning at breakfast, "are you guys like dating now?" Emily choked on her coffee. Liam looked helplessly at her. Noah grinned. We already knew. You're bad at keeping secrets, the adults laughed, embarrassed but relieved. The following year was full of change. Emily's job went well, and Liam was promoted to lieutenant at the fire station. They faced the ups and downs of blended family life. Sick days, school projects, late nights. But through it all, they stuck together. One summer afternoon, as they watched the kids build a castle out of cardboard boxes in the backyard, Liam realized there would never be a perfect moment to ask what he'd been carrying in his heart for months. He slipped his hand into his pocket, feeling the small velvet box he'd been holding onto for weeks. "Hey, Commander Noah, Princess Sophie," he called out. "Can you come here a second?" The kids came running, faces flushed from the sun. Emily followed, smiling. Liam knelt down, heart pounding. "We're a pretty great team, right?" "The four of us?" "The best team ever," Sophie said proudly. He looked up at Emily, his voice catching. "Then what do you say we make it official?" When he pulled out the ring, Emily gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Emily Hayes," he said softly. "Will you marry me?" Tears welled up in her eyes, but she was smiling through them. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, laughing as the kids cheered. "Yes." Noah threw his arms around both of them. Sophie danced around shouting, "We're a real family now." They married 6 months later in a simple outdoor ceremony, surrounded by friends and neighbors. Sophie scattered flower petals with great ceremony, and Noah carried the rings like it was the most important job in the world. When it came time for vows, Liam's voice was thick with emotion. "Emily, you walked into my life on the worst night of yours, and somehow turned my broken world into something beautiful again. You taught me that hope can survive anything if we hold on to each other." Emily wiped her tears, then said, "Liam, you showed me that home isn't a roof over our heads. It's the people who love us. You gave Noah and me a place to belong. I promise to love you and this family with everything I have." The officiant smiled. "You may kiss the bride." And he did, to laughter and applause, and the sound of 2 children cheering loud enough to wake the mountains. Later that evening, after the kids had fallen asleep in a heap of blankets and leftover cake crumbs, Liam and Emily sat on the porch watching the stars. "Do you ever think about that night?" Emily asked softly. "All the time," he said. "I think about how close I came to driving past. How one small choice changed everything." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "You saved us that night." Liam smiled, kissing her hair. "No, Emily. We saved each other. The house behind them glowed with warm light, filled with laughter, love, and second chances. Sometimes," Liam thought, "life didn't need grand miracles. Sometimes it just needed one moment of kindness, one stop on a rainy road to change everything."